All right. Good evening, everyone, to all of our cheese fans across the country. We are thrilled to have you in our Wisconsin Cheese Test Kitchen tonight because we've got a very delicious menu planned for you. I am Rachel. I am part of the Wisconsin Cheese team tonight.
I am Suzanne, and I am the CMO for Wisconsin Cheese, but a lot of you Cheeselandians out there know me as the Mayor of Cheeselandia. We are here tonight for the Wonders of Wisconsin, which is a month-long celebration during American Cheese Month. And we have got a really special evening cooked up for you tonight because we have a top chef joining us. I hope you have on your stretchy pants.
I do. I know you can only see the top half of me, but I definitely do because I am going to get ready to eat all this delicious food. But first, a few housekeeping instructions to get this party started. We want to see your faces. We want to know what you're cooking at home, if you're cooking along with our top chef, Joe, and what you're doing out there. So turn your cameras on if you can. We definitely want to see those faces out there. We sent along some recipe cards. So hopefully you're cooking along with us or maybe just taking some tips for later when you cook up a delicious meal for your family. And then lastly, and kind of importantly, feel free to share any of your photos on social media, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you feel it best. Use the hashtag Wonders of Wisconsin because we will be selecting some winners tonight from those amazing photos you share. I think we're ready to get going, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we want you to win prizes and we also want to see all your cool pictures. So, I mean, I think this food is beautiful. I had a little glimpse of it before. So it's going to be quite an evening. If you have ever wished that you could cook like a chef, tonight is your night because we have not only just a real chef, we have a winning chef, okay? He won season 15 of Bravo's Top Chef, introducing Joe Flam. Woo!
Hi, thanks for having me.
Welcome, Joe.
Yeah, excited to have you here.
With the mayor as well. I didn't know I was in such company.
She's high up there in the ranks of Cheeselandia, that's for sure.
Nice.
So first, to get us started tonight, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you started this culinary journey of yours?
So I started my culinary journey, I think a way a lot of people do, cooking with my family growing up. I came from a family where, whether it was holidays, get-togethers, or just a Sunday, we always cooked together with my mother, with my grandmother, my aunts. It was just always part of our everyday life. It was part of our holidays. It was part of our day-to-day. And you know, as I grew older, I fell into the restaurants just kind of by happenstance when I was 16, and I just fell in love with it right away and just kind of never turned back.
Awesome. All right. So you just opened a new restaurant, Rosemary. Tell us a little bit about your restaurant and how you came up with that name.
So Rosemary is my brand new Italian, Croatian, we call it Adriatic drinking food concept in the West Loop in Chicago on Fulton Street. The name, it literally means dew of the sea, but the herb rosemary, it grows all along the Adriatic Sea. It's also a sign of like good luck and good fortune in Italian and Croatian cultures. But more for me personally, Rose was the name of my Irish grandmother and Mary is the name of my Italian grandmother. Both ladies who were very important to me and my development as a cook. So I thought it was really special to give a little tip of the hat to them as well.
That is so sweet.
That is amazing. I can relate. My grandmother was a dairy farmer here in Wisconsin, and I feel like that's such a great connection to the history of the food and where you come from. So, you know, as a chef, we know that you want to always be pursuing quality ingredients. So how does that play into the types of ingredients you use in your cooking?
Well, I think especially cooking kind of the way I do, cooking more Adriatic food, cooking Italian food, Croatian food is really, I think the mantra of that food is, you know, cooking the best with what's around you. You just want to get the best ingredients around you and treating them very simply, letting them shine. And so I think, you know, that's why for me, for you know, Wisconsin cheeses, it makes a ton of sense because, you know, the Italian style cheeses they make, that they're made with, you know, beautiful product that goes into it from, you know, the great cow's milk that we get from here. It just makes a ton of sense to go with everything else that we do.
Well, talking about this cheese and especially, oh my gosh, looking at this beautiful cheese is really making us hungry. So maybe we could get started. Tell us a little bit about the flatbread you're going to make tonight.
And I should tell you that Kathy and Janelle out there are already diving in and have been cooking this up along with you. So I'm sure they're going to want to know all your tips.
Nice.
All right.
Post pictures, Kathy and Janelle.
Yeah, let's see it out there. I'd love to see how it goes. So first things first, we're going to get our flatbread going. This is just, if you want to use a flatbread, we do this at the restaurant on a grilled lapinja, which is a Croatian style flatbread. But you can do this on this. You can do this on a focaccia. You can do this on just toasted, crusty bread. It would be really great. But just the idea of something with texture, with this creamy, beautiful burrata cheese from Belgioioso. So we're going to start open up our burrata. So if you're not familiar with burrata, it's one of my favorite cheeses for a number of reasons. One, it's wildly delicious, but it is mozzarella that is taken and it's stretched around stracciatella, which I believe is just a stracciatella as well, which I also love very, very much. So we're just taking it, open it up, and start cutting it apart. And the stracciatella itself is mozzarella that's been pulled, and then they soak that in heavy cream. So it's just super, super luscious. It's creamy. It's delicious. But I love the hard mozzarella around it, so it gives it a really, really great texture. So we're just kind of cutting these and we're spreading these out. We're just trying to get full coverage on here. I like to slice them right on top of the flatbread because I don't want to lose anything. Any of this cream starts leaching out a little bit. I want that going right in my flatbread. I don't want it going on a plate. I don't want it going on my cutting board. I want it going to be future in my mouth.
That looks so delicious. So I personally have seen burrata kind of rise in popularity over the past couple of years. Have you seen that same trend? Like, how have you seen this cheese that I think a lot of people maybe didn't know about kind of come to be more popular?
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where, for me, I love burrata. And I think it's one of those things that now that you see it a little bit more, it's once people have it for the first time, they're like, oh yeah,
it's life-changing.
I'm a burrata person now.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of just helped it kind of launch and go off. So as we have our set here, we're going to start going, we're going to a good amount of olive oil in here. I was saying a little bit of olive oil, but there's a little about this. We're not going a little bit of cheese. We're not going a bit of olive oil. We're going healthy on both. So a little bit of sea salt. I like this big flaky sea salt. It's going to give it texture. So you'll have that beautiful chew from the mozzarella, the creaminess from the stracciatella. A little bit of cracked black pepper on there too. I mean, I could also eat this just like this. A very, very happy little chef.
So you're using Belgioioso burrata, which is fantastic, right? And I was up there. They have different flavors. They have a black truffle burrata. Have you ever had that one? Because it was really, really good.
Yeah, and I think those ones where you're able to have like that beautiful black truffle inlay to it. I mean, you could just do that on here. You wouldn't have to add another thing, but just a little black truffle, olive oil on there, and call that an evening. I think you'd be pretty all right. But for tonight, we're gonna go with some fresh strawberries on here. You could do this with any fruit; it would work. I think for right now, as strawberries are starting to come into season all throughout the Midwest, it's just kind of perfect on that idea of what grows together goes together. So the milk's from here, strawberries from here; those things are going to work really, really nice together. So you have the sweet, a little bit of the acidity that's coming through from that stracciatella and mozzarella to go in the creaminess to go with these strawberries. So nice little amount of those on there. We're going to put on some fresh basil. Just spread it out. And you just want to make it so that every bite you get a pop of fresh basil, the strawberries, the creaminess of the stracciatella inside the burrata, and the chew of the mozzarella on the outside. Do a little bit of fennel pollen over the top.
So we've got a couple questions here from our audience out there. And so for the rest of you in the chat, just so you know, ask your questions for Joe. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can. So the first question that I've got here is from the Jacobs family in Oswego, Illinois.
All right.
And they want to know, what was the first cheese dish you ever made?
The first cheese dish I ever made, we made pasta from a really young age. So we would make, for the holidays, for Thanksgiving, we always made ravioli. So we would make raviolis that were stuffed with ricotta and spinach and parsley. That's probably the first one that I have like very, very vivid memories of making as a small child, of once you were tall enough to reach the table and be able to operate the hand crank. So that's definitely first one and one that I still make to this day. So what do you say? About ready to try some flatbread?
Let's do it. I just got the napkin on
I saw the napkin unfold, which is, of course, the international symbol for "Please feed me now."
Yes. Was it that obvious, Joe? This looks so delicious. This cheese, I don't know if we're watching the flatbread get cut right now, but when you're done plating that.
Yum.
Oh, yum.
Ladies.
Oh, thank you.
I to eat this on camera.
No.
So
Do you,
good.
okay, do we cut it with a fork?
I would just pick it up.
and eat like
I would just
pizza?
pick it up. Pick it up, you know?
I'm gonna do
that.
that.
I
I'll
like
do it.
picking it up
He's
because then you can
trying
have
to embarrass us.
your glass of wine in one hand and you can have your flatbread in the other hand. Then you're mobile. You can do whatever you
Oh,
want. Then. There's no
wow.
stopping you.
It's so good and really
So
fresh.
Mhm.
It's
And I was
fresh.
gonna mention too, like I've been so lucky that I visit the company that makes this cheese, Belgio, so you can get a picture of this. It's delicious.
I actually met the patriarch of the family. I mean, and he was amazing, such presence, just that incredible Italian accent too. Like as soon as you meet him, you go, "This has got to be great cheese." So, and it is.
Yeah, super good. And they actually have in Wisconsin, you can become a maker.
I know.
You
I
did
I
know,
knew
right?
It was,
You knew that.
I am aware.
And they have the most master cheesemakers on staff than any other cheese company in the state. So they really know what they're doing.
I mean, they do serious cheese there. And I think it goes to show, you know, when they come here, they decided to settle here because of the quality of dairy here.
Right.
And that, you know, Italians were like, we will trade snow for good milk. Like, and that was, you know, I think it tells you something about, you know, the quality of stuff they're putting out.
Yeah, I think my husband, who's like really interested in process and mechanics and things like that, was talking to someone from Belgioso, and he was like, "Oh wow, like what kind of team does it take to like make that little?" My husband was like, "No, that is all completely hand done." So
Right.
definitely
Right.
something you should know.
It takes,
Like,
it
it's
takes
all
this,
hand
this kind of machine.
Mhm.
So that I love for, you know, sitting outside at home. I think it's great. Or, you know, something we serve at the restaurant. It's a great start to a meal. Great on a, or even on.
Yeah, this is incredible.
This
Thank
is
you.
delicious. So shall we move on to the next dish? We're going to enjoy this and maybe see what else you can cook up for us.
Well, yeah, I didn't, you know, come just to keep our little going. So the next thing we're going to do here is a risotto. I love making risotto. We make 3 different risottos at my restaurant every night. And so one we're doing today is a mushroom risotto with creamy gorgonzola, which I just love a gorgonzola. And the gorgonzola, you know, it's a blue cheese, but I think it's creamier. It's a little bit sweeter. And I think it's one of those things when I think of mushrooms, I always think of gorgonzola. It's like classic Northern Italian flavor combination. And it's so as whether you use it to finish it in a sauce. A lot of people, they'll do it charred on top of steaks. I love it like that. But one of my favorite ways to do it is like this, is to use it to finish a risotto. So we've cooked this risotto down. There's already been, you know, kind of our chicken stock in there. All our beautiful roasted mushrooms are in there. The rice is right almost where I want it. I'm just going to loosen it up just a touch. And so what we're going to do with this one, you know, a lot of times when you finish a risotto, you finish risottos typically with butter and cheese. So skipping the butter, we're going to go all gorgonzola dolce on this. And what that's going to do is just absolutely pack this thing with flavor. So it's a really cool way to kind of get a ton of flavor in with just the addition of one more ingredient, still keeping your cooking very simple, and just giving a depth to it. You know, I think my favorite thing is dishes like this, where you look at it, you go, oh, this is rice and mushrooms, and then you eat it, and you're like, the depth of flavor here is incredible, and that's going to be really based off of this gorgonzola that's going into there.
Wow, I love gorgonzola. You mentioned a steak. I love gorgonzola on a steak. I would have never thought of putting it in risotto. What a great idea.
Yeah, it's great too, you know, finishing a pasta, if you're picking up ravioli or something, it just, instead of a little butter in the pan, if you had a little bit of gorgonzola, toasted walnuts, maybe a little bit of balsamic.
Yeah.
Next time, we'll do it.
Baby Bella mushroom.
With that day. All right, let's check her. Risotto. I think it's pretty good.
Ready for us?
Good.
Just about.
All right, don't forget everyone, definitely pop your questions in the chat. We'll try to get to them as we go along, as we're cooking here. I also saw that some people were asking about wine recommendations. We are drinking this lovely rosé with the strawberry flatbread, but I'm gonna give it away. We've got Ella treat us in just a few minutes. We'll be joined by a wine expert. So she's gonna answer all of those questions. So hold tight out there, Holly. We'll get to all your wine recommendations shortly.
Awesome.
So as our rice gets cooked, right at the end here, we're just going to start folding in our gorgonzola, and we're just going to let that melt. You can hear how creamy that's becoming. It's just delicious. We're going to let that melt right in. It's going to give it saltiness, but it's going to give it earthy. It's going to give it balance. There's so much going on there that this is just going to taste like a dish with many more ingredients than it has just by using a product to finish it out.
So could you use any other cheeses in the place of, oftentimes, I know the gorgonzola is not a traditional way of making risotto. So like what other types of cheeses would you?
It depends on what you're going with to build the risotto. If you're doing an asparagus risotto and you wanted to go something more alpine, I think that would be really great if you were using, Gouda or something to throw that in there. For me, we're so close here. Give it a couple more stirs. Give it one more taste. Make sure. I mean, that works. So.
I'm sure it does. It's gonna work for me.
It's what I love is when you smell this, and you're like, how do you know blue cheese and mushrooms go together? The second that this hits you, you're like, oh, these things go together. Little bit of time to finish, staying with that earthy kind of foresty vibes.
Thank you. They do go together.
And it's just one of those things that just makes me wildly, wildly happy. It's just simple, beautiful. This also makes a really great flatbread, to just switch out from that other recipe. If you did gorgonzola and mushrooms on that, throw that back in the oven. Yeah. Procedures.
We're back. Are we back? Are we back? Back.
You let me know when we got audio.
We are here.
We're back.
All right. Well, I mean, so sorry for that little technical glitch, but Rachel and I used the opportunity to scarf down a bunch of this risotto. So hopefully you're still hanging out there.
I think it's Joe's fault. He's got one of the hottest new restaurants. You're just bringing all the energy in here and shutting things down. I think that's it, right? Wasn't it just listed as one of the top 10 hottest new restaurants in Chicago?
It was. Thank you very much. That was
Yeah.
today. So, maybe that's what it
Nice.
is. It's just we're getting overrun with,
Too much.
interest
Yeah,
over
it's
here.
Probably it.
Anyway, so thank you for hanging tight, everyone out there. Don't worry, we've still got lots more cooking to do with you, Joe. But this has been an amazing dish.
Thank you. Good. Glad you enjoyed it. We ready for the next one?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm certainly not complaining.
Keep rolling.
So, I obviously
Actually, hold on, wait. I'm gonna hold you up right there because
All right.
remember I promised that we've got a wine expert in the house.
Oh, the wine expert. Yes.
So we have got Andrea from here in Madison at Square Wine. If any of you have visited beautiful downtown Madison, Wisconsin, we've got a beautiful Capitol Square. You can walk around. There's some great shops, including this amazing wine shop. So Andrea, I hope you are out there. I would love for you to join us. Tell us a little bit of how we can, taste and sip our wine perfectly with these cheesy dishes. So Andrea, you out there?
I am.
She's there.
Great. Yeah.
Ready
welcome.
to rock and roll. Yes, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me, and happy Thursday. I believe it still is.
It is still
and-
Thursday.
and yeah, I'm here for all your wine questions and all that fun stuff. So I would say, just to start, wine and cheese have gone together as long as time. They grew up together. They always belong together. And I'm here for your beer chatter too, but wine and cheese is where it's at.
That's for sure. So can you give us like a few just like basic tips when you're pairing wine with cheese, right? Because we all know they go together, but like how do you actually make sure that those pairings create like that perfect song on your palate?
Yeah, for sure. So I know Chef Joe was talking about what grows together goes together, and I'm a big believer in that. And I realize Wisconsin is maybe not as well known for wine as it is for beer, but something that I like to apply is kind of the style of cheese, right? So if it's an Alpine style of cheese, think about maybe having an Alpine style of wine, right? If it's a local kind of play on Parmesan, think about having maybe an Italian wine with that. So you just kind of have to extrapolate it a little bit, and that's usually a pretty safe bet. The other thing that I really like doing, and I think this is kind of a general, this is essentially the like white wine with fish, red wine with meat sort of idea, is I like white wines with kind of softer cheeses typically, and then red wines with kind of saltier, sort of harder cheeses. There are obviously exceptions. This is not a general like rule for all life, but it's usually it's a pretty safe bet typically.
Yeah, those are some great tips. So tell us about, in this case, why you selected the wines that we're drinking with these amazing dishes tonight.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I think anyone that lives in Wisconsin and you say strawberries and cheese, and I think the first thing that comes to mind is rosé. So we are kind of getting into rosé season here in the shop. Stuff is starting to come in. And it just, after a long winter in the Midwest, it's a welcome sort of vacation. And so that was kind of the idea with the pairing there. And then the other two dishes tonight, I picked the same wine for, which is really fun because I think it showcases the wine in two different ways. So we've got kind of this mushroom, right? The blue cheese risotto, which is all about kind of earthiness. And the wine that I selected is a little Sangiovese from Tuscany, from a really great Brunello di Montalcino producer in Le Ragnaia. And so the first dish, well, I should say kind of the first main course dish, the risotto kind of plays up the earthiness of Sangiovese. And then the next course that you guys are going to do after this, the cacio e pepe, kind of plays up the fruitiness of Sangiovese a little bit, so that the saltiness in the cacio e pepe will kind of bring out the red fruit in the Sangiovese a little bit more.
Yeah, I can definitely see how these are pairing perfectly well together. I mean, I know I took a sip of the rosé in between, but still I'm like definitely picking up those notes as I go between this red wine here and this delicious risotto with the creamy gorgonzola. So if anyone out there has any questions for Andrea, feel free to drop them in the chat, because I know wine and cheese is always a hot topic, and I'm sure she's happy to answer any questions. So for you, Joe and Andrea, what kind of wines are you featuring in your restaurants? How do you pick wines to go with your dishes?
So I loved what Andrea said about, kind of the rule of thumb of cheese, where she was saying like, loves a white with softer cheeses and loves a red with harder, saltier cheeses. But those aren't hard and fast rules, because I was thinking kind of the same way, when I used to write tasting menus, was we'd love doing a light red wine with a fish course. Well, a light red wine with like a soft blue cheese would also work really, really well. And it's kind of funny that those pairings just kind of work beautifully. And I thought you explained that really well. And that, we kind of have that same ideology of wines of that, when it grows together, it does grow together. That almost always works out. But, for my restaurant, we are very wine focused. We do a ton of Italian wines. We do a lot of Croatian, Balkan wines that are it's a really up and coming region. And so that's really, really fun for us.
So question for you, Andrea, and this is from Holly. She was the one kind of already teasing some of those wine questions earlier. And she wants to know, what is a good red wine with cheese that is not super dry?
So I would say, if I'm interpreting this correctly, because I really want to say Riesling, but that's a white wine that would be really great with salty cheese. That's not dry. I think Lambrusco is the way to go. So
yes.
Find kind of an artisanal Lambrusco. You can get dry Lambrusco. You can get Lambrusco with a little bit of sweetness. Just don't buy the 1.5s of Riuniti in the grocery store. Find somebody locally that you can trust. And I would also add, Chef Joe, I will tell you, the more that I drink wine, the more I realize I just like to eat.
Well, in Italy, they say, it's never that you drank too much wine, you just need to eat more. And it's never that you ate too much, you just need a little bit more wine.
I agree wholeheartedly with everything everyone is saying here. All right, we've got another question here from Sandra, and she wants to know about non-alcoholic wines.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. So we've been kind of getting into this at the shop a little bit. My current obsession is from Johannes Leitz. So bear with me one second. I apologize.
Yeah, go jump, go get that wine.
Perfect. So Johannes Leitz is a really great producer in the Rheingau in Germany. He makes Riesling that has alcohol, that's classic, that wins all the awards. He's a really great winemaker, but the German market has demanded from him kind of non-alcoholic stuff, and he calls it de-alcoholized wine. So he essentially makes wine, and there's some sort of science centrifuge situation involved that's able to remove all of the alcohol. And so this is the can of it. We have it in bottles here as well. It's a sparkling Riesling. It's called Einswei Zero. He makes a Riesling called Einswei Dry, which is a dry Riesling. And this is kind of a play off of that. So it's a sparkling, non-alcoholic Riesling. I drink this at home when I'm trying to take it easy as well. And it's really good. It has a tiny touch of sweetness to it. But so far for me, that's the best non-alcoholic wine I've found.
Cool. That sounds great. I mean, I know a lot of people are looking for different options, so it's lovely to know that there are so many really good, tasty, like high quality options out there in terms of wine. So I don't have any more questions here. Andrea, I just wanted to say thank you for joining us and giving us all these great tips to pair our wines with our deliciously cheesy dishes. I know I'm certainly very excited to come into your shop and hopefully sip a glass at the bar there and then just enjoy an evening downtown Madison, Wisconsin. So yeah, any other questions? Otherwise, I think we should probably get back to cooking.
Yeah, thanks so much, Andrea. That was great. Okay, wine and
it.
cheese, definitely one of Wisconsin's power couples. All right, so now why don't we talk about getting back to this meal, because I am particularly excited for this next dish. It is called a Parmesan fonduta cacio e pepe.
You nailed it.
So like cacio e pepe.
The fonduta tripped you up, but
right, and you would think fondue of all things. All right, so Parmesan fonduta, is that like a fondue?
It is exactly like a fondue. So a fonduta is an Italian version of a cheese sauce. So what it is, we already got this working a little bit, is I have my cream on the stove. I've reduced that down by about a quarter, let's say. So taking that down a little bit just to thicken it, stabilize it. We got our water going, and we're gonna make a cavatelli to go with it. Cacio e pepe is one of the great classic, kind of big four Roman pastas. It's super, super simple. It's all about the ingredients that go into it. And so that's why for me, this was a perfect way to showcase this really, really great copper kettle Parmesan. So we're gonna start by making some pasta, as we do. So we have a little bit of semolina flour here on our board. We're gonna take our bowl, just kind of make a nice little well for it. Put that aside. Then we're going to take our water. It's a really humid day in here in Madison today, so I'm not going to use all my water because this is going to affect either the amount of moisture in my dough. So I'm going to use a little bit less than what's in here.
I've heard humidity can kind of mess with your pasta.
It always, always does. And I never really learned that lesson until the first time I cooked pasta in Miami. And I learned it very, very much the hard way. So we'll go a little bit less water, and we're just going to slowly start working our flour into here, just being careful. We're following around with our hands to make sure we don't break down these beautiful little kind of dunes of flour, if you will, for my fellow Midwesterners out there. They say dunes other places, I'm not sure.
I don't know. That's amazing though. So where and when did you learn to make pasta? Because I feel like it's something that I personally have I totally want to make my own pasta, but it's kind of intimidating.
I think it can be intimidating, but it's one of those things that it's very simple to make and it's very simple to screw up. So those things are always very intimidating for people. I've been making pasta from scratch with my grandmother since I was a little kid. We would always, we would have ravioli day growing up. So that's when we would get together, me and my cousins, and we would make about 600 raviolis for Thanksgiving. So we get them all done ahead of time, and we'd freeze them all and get them ready for the big holiday so that we could have them with our turkey. So as this is starting to come together, you see I kind of get this pancakey, cake batter consistency.
Sure.
So now we're starting to get somewhere. So what we're going to do from here is now I'm going to go in with my bench scraper and just start chopping in the rest of this flour. Just trying to hydrate my dough right now. So we
You're
kind of
using
get this.
semolina flour, right? Is there
I
anything
am.
in particular that's going to make this come together? Does it hold the sauce better? How does this
So,
come together?
The reason I'm using semolina flour in this and not a double O or an AP is this is going to be for the texture of this. So this is a dish classically in Rome you'd see a lot of times with spaghetti or a spaghettone or a bucatini, like a dry, long noodle pasta. I think it's really fun doing this with the cavatelli because it gives it a really nice chew, but it has a good bite to it. And by using the semolina, that's what's going to give us that really, really good bite to the pasta that we want, because when you have such a simple, beautiful sauce like this, you want to get a little bit of texture from the pasta instead of having to add anything else for crunch or flavor or texture. So that kind of came together there. Now I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to give this a couple rolls. We're not really forming gluten here because, like we said, this is going to be more like an extruded pasta than, your soft, regular, if you were doing a tagliatelle or a tortellini or one of those. So this is a great, kind of first starter dough if you want to get into pasta making, because it comes together pretty quick, pretty
So
easy.
we've got a question. Caitlin out in PA, Pennsylvania, wants to know, is there a reason you're using water instead of eggs?
Yeah, so this is a traditional flour and water dough, and all that is going to do is affect the texture. And again, for me wanting to go for that bite, because typically, like I said, this would be an extruded pasta. So if you had this with like a rigatoni or a spaghetti, those are flour and water doughs, and that's why they have a little bit more bite and texture to them, as opposed to if you're doing an egg dough, it's going to be a lot more luscious, a lot softer, and a lot more tender, where I want this to be chewy and a nice, kind of stiffer dough, if you will. So put that together. We're going to let this rest for about 30 minutes.
All right. Well, while you kind of work on that and keep moving through this dish, I don't know, should we do some trivia?
Let's do some trivia.
All right, so this is your chance to you all out there to win some cool prizes. So we've got a couple questions to test your knowledge based on what we've learned so far in tonight's program. So it's easy. All you have to do to participate is drop your answer in the chat. We'll pick a few people to win a prize this evening, and we'll go from there. How's that sound, Sue?
Great. We love to give away prizes, so make sure you do try to answer. And I don't think the questions are too hard. If you've been paying attention, they're not too hard, right?
Right. You want to take the first one?
I can take the first one. Okay. The first question is, what is the filling inside burrata called?
Is it A, stracciatella, B, mozzarella, C, brine, or D, curds?
Which one is it?
We shall see. All right. Let me know when we've got a winner. So what you got going on over there, Joe?
So we have our cream coming down still. It's almost there. Our water's coming up. We should taste our water. Nice.
Wait, what are you tasting your water for?
For salt. So we're going to add a little salt to our water. We don't want this one quite salty like the sea. As you always kind of hear that expression, because this sauce has so much Parmesan into it that has, there's a natural salinity to it. So we don't want to go crazy at it, but we do want some salt in it. So we want it well seasoned.
Yeah, this is a flavorful Parmesan because it's aged 16 months.
Yeah. So you don't want to overpower that. You want to let these ingredients, simple, beautiful ingredients speak for themselves. So when you have something great like that, let it do its work.
So we've got a winner. We've got a winner.
Oh, we got a winner.
Yeah, so Katie, congratulations. Katie from Pennsylvania, you are our winner of the first trivia question. But don't worry, we've got a few more to go throughout the evening, so pay attention.
All right.
So Now that our cream's reduced down, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to dump in all my cheese while it's nice and hot. Whisk, whisk, whisk. Let that come together. And this Parmesan just melts absolutely gorgeously in here. Oh, it's so lush. We're just going to take that. We'll put that right aside.
Good. Yum.
We have a sauce.
All right, so just going back to some more trivia here. A was the right answer. So for those of you who guessed right, the answer was A, stracciatella. And we've got another trivia question for you. So if you guys want to play along, drop the answer in the chat. Here you go. Question number 2. Why does Chef Joe love gorgonzola? Gorgonzola. Oh, geez. All right. Why does Chef Joe love too much wine. Loved gorgonzola in the risotto. Is it A, because Belgioioso's creamy gorgonzola is so creamy it stirs right in? B, the delightful earthy notes of the cheese are a perfect pair for the wild mushrooms? Or C, gorgonzola has just a hint of tang that stands up to the richness of the risotto? And lastly, D, all of the above. So drop your guess in the chat. I don't know. This one seems kind of hard.
Tough question.
Yeah, tough question.
Tough question. Tough question. Try to read my mind out of questions. Best of luck to all you out there.
Look inside his head, see what you can guess.
Be careful. So while we're waiting for answers, we're going to start cutting our dough down. We're going to cut these in about a 1/2-inch strip or so.
Sure.
Sure, why not? Put that to the side. We're just going to take these. We're just going to start rolling out nice little cavatelli ropes.
All right, we've got a winner.
Wow, that was fast.
It was fast. So the answer was D. If you didn't guess, it was pretty clear that it was all of the above. And we have a winner that is Joseph Lee, I think.
Oh, see us Joes think alike.
Guess so, yeah.
Might be a little inside baseball on that one. I don't know if we're going to get some trouble for that. So we're just rolling these out. I'm rolling these out the size of about a thick finger. So if you don't have very thick fingers, find a friend.
Those are thick.
Just roll these down. Get a nice batch going.
So you make homemade pasta in the restaurant, right? Like, how do you keep up with the demand for so much like handmade pasta?
So we have one person who every day they just come in and make pasta.
The pasta person.
This is Maricela. She's amazing. I've worked with her for years. She's one of the best in Chicago, if not that I've ever met. And she comes in every morning. She's there at 7 a.m. and all she does for 8 hours a day is make pasta.
Wow, nice. What a calling though, because I'm sure it's delicious.
It's wonderful. So now we're just going to start chopping these down. We're going to cut these down. Again, we'll call it a 1/2 inch. Cut these across. Try to keep them around the same size just so that they cook at the same time. If you end up with some bigger ones and some smaller ones, it's not the end of the world. Just try to separate them. Cook the bigger ones a little bit first and then throw your smaller ones in. Then we're going to put them on this nice little cavatelli board. We're going to start pushing them.
Oh, cool.
Just right across there. So if
It's like surprisingly easy. Like, could you do this at home if you didn't have this, kind of custom board?
Yeah, you can do this with a fork. You can just roll these off a fork. It works really easy. You can do this with a cheese grater, which I'm sure you both have at home. If not, a couple
cheese
hundred.
Accessories are not, they're very plentiful in my kitchen. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
So, you can always do that with a cheese grater. It'll work. But it's nice on the board. You can get these cavatelli boards, any local cooking store, if you ask for them, they always have them. And it's a really easy one. This one's a fun one. Like me and my son will do this and like you could give it to him and he can push them off the board.
Nice.
Even at 2.5, they figure it out. And that's really fun. That's really exciting for me. And and people with kids, it's always trying to find kitchen projects that you can do with your children is sometimes a project in itself. So this is a nice one that works great for that.
Well, I think that's true. And I know, and I have 3 kids. And so when they were younger, I always had them participate in the food because I felt like if they helped make it, they would be more inclined to eat it. And they were great eaters and they're still just amazing eaters. So I wholeheartedly believe in your theory, like getting kids in the kitchen makes them great eaters.
I think so. And the great thing about these is what I love about this whole process for this dish is one, that sauce is done. You can take that sauce, you can put it in, quart container, whatever. You can throw that in your freezer and keep it forever. And then it's just ready to go. Same thing with these. If we took this sheet tray, laid them flat, threw this right in the freezer, let them freeze up and then threw them, in like a gallon zipper bag or whatever. You can hold on to these till whenever you need them. Same like we used to do for Thanksgiving growing up. And it makes it go from, a meal that takes a little bit more prep to where if you saved it for, a night when you know you're going to be busy, you come home, pull your pasta and your sauce out of the freezer, and you can be on the table in 30 minutes.
Hey, Joe, we've got a question from Tracy. She wants to know, how much pressure do you use to roll the pasta?
You're using a pretty good, I'd say a medium pressure, like a strong thumb on the back of your neck.
You have interesting metaphors.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain. Pressure's hard to
I was
explain.
going to reach over and then I thought,
Where it's one of those things, but I think, you felt like everyone's felt like, a strong
Is
thumb
that
on the
like
back of your
a
neck.
You're thing? You have a thumb to the back of your neck?
You're on the
maybe
south
side.
that is a wildly specific Chicago South Side upbringing thing. But, I feel like most people knows what that feel like, or maybe that's just I'm a product of 14 years of Catholic schooling, or, an Italian grandmother, I'm not sure. But, if that doesn't make sense, I would say medium pressure.
All right. Hopefully that cleared it up for you. Oh my goodness.
All right, so I think this is a good amount for you.
Perfect.
that looks good.
So our
Well, actually, I don't know. I'm a big pasta fan, so we'll see.
I am also
right.
a big pasta fan, but we'll keep
We'll
it
let
after
you know.
hours.
Yeah.
we gotta make a couple more. We'll make a couple more. So we're gonna go ahead. We're boiling here, so we'll go into our boiling water. Drop all our beautiful, nice floaty pasta in. Burn ourselves a little bit, but that's okay. And then we're gonna make our sauce in the pan here. So we already have our fondue made, right? That's off to the side. We'll get this going, and this is so simple how we finish this. So olive oil, a little bit of olive oil, a lot of olive oil. Depends on what your opinion of a lot of olive oil is. So I'm coating the bottom of the pan here. I'll let that get ripping. Over nice like medium high heat here. We're gonna go in with lots of black pepper. This dish is cacio e pepe after all. It's a lot of cheese, but it's also a lot of pepper.
All right, let's do one more trivia question.
I feel like the next one's going to be easy because you literally asked this question earlier.
I did.
So again,
I did.
if people were paying attention, they're going to get this question.
I seeded this because I wanted people to succeed, okay? So here is the question for you.
Okay, do it, Rachel.
All right, why is it best to use semolina flour when making fresh cavatelli? Is it A, because yellow is Chef Joe's favorite color? I don't
Who
know.
knows?
Who knows? I don't know. Is it B, the gluten content creates a less sticky dough that holds its shape when cooking? Or is it C, it's gluten-free?
What do you think?
What do you think? Put it in
Your
the
answer
chat.
in the chat.
And we will pick a winner and let Chef Joe know who's been paying attention.
Nice. And how is your sauce looking?
So this is coming together great. You can start to smell the olive oil, the green, peppery beautifulness of it. And then the pepper itself is going to start getting really, really fragrant. And that's really all we're looking for. So we have our pasta going over here. We'll test one out. Let's see. It's probably hot. Voila.
Oh, we have a winner for the trivia too.
All right.
Katie from Bloomington, Indiana.
All right, nice work. And there were apparently over 100 answers that were right. So bravo, everybody. You were
People are paying attention. Good job.
Hopefully no one guessed that my favorite color was yellow.
Wait, what is your favorite color?
If anyone does guess my favorite color in the chat, first one to get it, I'll buy him a drink at Rosemary.
Okay.
All right, you heard that. We're going to hold them to that.
Bonus prize.
Bonus prize. You come to Chicago, you see me, you guess the color.
Guess Joe's favorite color. You will win a free drink at Rosemary in Chicago. I bet we're going to have a lot of people trying for that win.
Yeah.
All right, so my peppercorns are nice and toasted now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with a little bit of the water from the pasta. So
I'm guessing chartreuse. How about that?
chartreuse.
That's my guess.
That's kind of close to yellow.
Yeah, that's kind of close to yellow.
Stuck his nose up
And I probably wouldn't have a favorite color that I can't spell. So a little bit of pasta water in the pan here, kind of just going in with that olive oil, that black pepper. And check our pasta one more time. Hot. I think you're gonna like these. So our pasta is about 80% cooked here right now. And we're gonna let it go the rest of the way in the pan. We call this the marriage. So you marry your pasta to your sauce. And the importance of this is while you take it out early is, the same reason you salt pasta, the pasta water, because that water is going to go into the pasta. That's why your pasta gets bigger while it cooks. Well, if you take it out a little bit before it's done and you finish it in the sauce, it's going to take in the flavor from that sauce. So we want all this flavor, the olive oil, the black pepper. I want all that going in our cavatelli. So that's cooking down. We're gonna go in with some of our fonduta.
Yum, that looks so good.
Wow, that looks amazing.
That's everything I want.
That's
in
a
my
great
life
marriage
in that
right
pan.
there.
Yeah.
It's a good marriage. If this isn't a Midwestern marriage, I don't know what one is.
I know a little bit about marriage because next week my husband and I will have been married 30 years.
Wow.
3 years.
Hey,
Wait,
you know
what
that
date?
today is my wedding anniversary?
Oh my gosh, Rachel!
Happy anniversary.
So we both know a lot about
We
marriage.
both know that. Well, not as much.
Happy
We're
anniversary!
only at 4 years married, 10 together though. So I think that's.
Mine's on Saturday, so we all got married.
Well,
in the same
congrats.
week,
Yeah, look
so.
at that. May is
It's
a great
so
time
sweet
to
of
get
you to
married.
spend your anniversary with us.
My husband said it's fine as long as I bring him leftovers. We're good.
Sounds
you go.
fair.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary, Luke.
Yeah. Happy anniversary, honey. I love you.
And happy almost anniversary, Bob.
And a happy anniversary to you and your wife,
Hillary.
Hillary. Cheers.
Hillary, it's
Nice.
6 years.
Congrats.
Yeah, Hillary, who works in tech.
Yes. So we live very opposite lifestyles, but it's good.
Hey, they say opposites attract, and I
True.
think that's.
There you go.
I definitely, yeah, true with all three
All
of
of
us,
us,
for
yeah.
sure.
Somebody's got to be the cheese sauce, and somebody's got to be the black pepper and olive oil.
I believe it.
Which one are you?
I'm the cheesy one.
Yeah.
Always.
All right, so you can see this is starting to come down, it's starting to thick up. The starches from the water and the pasta are going to help this sauce thicken up. We have that beautiful kind of cookies and cream thing going on in there. Just that makes it look super cute. Everyone knows cute food tastes better.
Always.
Science.
I 100% agree with you.
It's science.
There actually, I think there is a science to that.
I think there is. You eat with
Yeah.
your eyes, right?
You know, they always say the food eats first now. But you know, I think the one thing you really miss out on that is the smells. The smells of like the black pepper, the Parmesan coming off this. It makes you feel like, you know, you're sitting in Rome somewhere, just watching the world go by for a minute. Oh,
So Joe, wait, it sounds like there are a lot of guesses on your favorite color. So I think at
All
this
right,
point,
let's
we're going
start-
to need the answer
start-
for
we'll-
the audience.
all right. So am I giving the answer?
I think you're giving the answer.
My favorite color is blue.
Oh, no, there you have
Did
it.
anybody guess blue?
Who's my
Yeah,
first?
did anybody guess
Who's
blue?
my first blue guess?
Oh, we have a winner. So somebody did win.
Oh, she's got a long drive though.
Where's she at?
New York.
That's not bad. Fly out in. It's a quick flight. It's an hour and a half. It's nothing.
All right, Alice.
Hey, it'll
Gonna
take
see you in Chicago.
it'll take you
That
longer
dream.
to get to LaGuardia than it will to fly to Chicago.
There you go. Allison York, congrats. You won the,
Awesome.
favorite,
Come
the
see
bonus
me.
favorite color challenge.
The favorite color challenge. Come see me. I'll buy you a drink, and I promise it won't be my favorite color.
All right. And she's actually telling us, like, in all caps, by the way, I will come to Chicago
She's coming.
for that drink. So
I love it.
she's
For
I love
Alice.
it.
Be on the lookout for
Yeah.
Alice.
So we have your pastas here. Plate it up. Do a little bit more parm on top because
Oh, cheese on cheese. That's
cheese on cheese is a
always use
beautiful
more
thing.
parm.
cheese on cheese.
It's like that thing when they tell you like say when I should stop, and it's like don't ever stop.
Right.
Yeah.
I will never say anything.
And this Parmesan is so delicious. I've been lucky. We've had a few wheels in here before, and we've like chiseled them out. And it's just, a lot of us are used to using Parmesan in cooking, but it's surprising how great of like a table cheese it makes us too. Just kind of shave off a little bit and little taste, right?
We call it snacking cheese in my house, and my wife
Yeah.
always be like, what's
Wow.
our level of snacking cheese before
Yeah.
I'd go to the grocery store?
This is beautiful. What do you think?
It's all right.
I'm not going to talk because it's going to get messy real fast.
I'll talk.
Delicious.
It's amazing. So
This
good.
is so good. And it's just so rich and deluxe. Also, like, I know I'm just indulging in myself in this right now, but my son would die for this, and he's not even 2 yet. Like, his favorite food is pasta. He would die for this dish.
It's a simple, beautiful, and I mean, now that you know how to make your anniversary dinner, you can make this tomorrow for your
Yeah.
husband.
She's gonna take part of this home.
No, I'm not. I'm going to eat it all. Okay, now every great meal ends with a dessert. I think we've got that next.
Yeah, so next we're doing a dessert. I don't do a lot of desserts, but what I do, I love simple, beautiful, vibrant desserts. This one that I'm doing is actually a dessert I made on the finale of Top Chef. It's the one and only dessert I went there with. You kind of, when you go, you don't have to get to bring any recipes. So I showed up knowing how to make one dessert, and I said, if I hit a dessert challenge, I'll use it. And if I hit 2 dessert challenges, I'll go home. And so luckily, I didn't have to make dessert till the finale, so it kind of worked out in my favor there. But it's a brown sugar cake that is just, it's chewy, it's sweet, lots of layers of flavors. Thank you so much.
So give us a little behind the scenes scoop on your experience with Top Chef, because I know everyone out there is dying to know what it was like.
So it's about the most stressful thing you can imagine. You know, people always ask, is it stressful? It looks, and it's like, no. It's so much worse. You really can't imagine it. But, you know, it's one of those things that I'm so happy I did. I met so many great friends from it. Just so many great experiences have come out of it. So I'm very, very grateful that I did it. I'm very grateful that I won so that I never have to do it again. So we're going to make the whipped brown mascarpone to go on top of our brown sugar cake right now. So the brown sugar cake itself is brown sugar, it's eggs, flour, and butter basically that you cook. And so you cook them down, you mix them together, and you bake in the oven for about 45 minutes. And we're going to top it with this sweet mascarpone that we did some mascarpone from Crave Brothers, which I think they make some of the best cheeses out there. They're really fantastic.
If you're talking about like super fresh cheese, I mean, I've been out to the farm and the creamery, and they're literally right next to each other. They get that fresh milk, pipe it right into the creamery where they craft these amazing fresh cheeses. And they have an amazing story too. They have a digester on site where they create renewable energy that actually fuels the, I believe 300 or so homes and their whole facility. So they're really doing some amazing things out there.
And I just love, you know, when you mixing a little bit of this cheese, some powdered sugar and some vanilla, and you end up.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
So good. So rich.
A little bit of acidity in the cheese, I think really makes it for me. The sweetness is nice, but it's balanced. It's not too sweet. Even with the powdered sugar in there, it's not crazy. So we do our brown sugar cake. It's cooled. Then we're just going to pipe some mascarpone right.
Do you have any tricks to piping? Because I feel like it's such a hard thing to do. Like, does it even, like, do you have any tricks to doing this?
You know what it is?
Especially with the
It's
cheese?
the two hands. So you hold it at 90 degrees and you're using one hand to pipe.
Like 2 fingers to the back of your neck.
Yep. This is a little gentler pressure. But back and forth. And that kind of is really the trick to piping, is making sure the thing is properly tempered and having that guiding hand. You always want that guiding hand there, you know? So 2 hands, always better than 1 for piping related instances. And then we're just gonna top it with this beautiful little blueberry compote. Again, much like the flatbread, you could switch this out for the season you're in. You have beautiful raspberries growing in your backyard. Take those raspberries, cook them down a little bit, throw them right on top, or throw them right on top fresh. They'll be outstanding too. I just drizzle that right over the top. I love this in late summer, you know, early fall with some peaches. This is really good, whether you throw them on a grill, throw them on top of here, or just made a nice little compote like this. If you loved a jar, this is a great, you know, bust out your jars from last year. Maybe those Door County cherries right on top of there. That'd be pretty outstanding as well.
This looks so delicious. So we started with the rosé, and then we went to the Sangiovese, and I feel like now the rosé is probably.
I would go right back to rosé.
Back to the
time.
rosé.
Right.
All right.
I love doing a meal where you start and finish on the same type of wine, whether it's like, especially bubbles, like, you know, if you did a sparkling rosé and you went there and then you end there, it's like, you know, start the meal as a party and end the meal as a party. It's all a celebration, right?
I love it.
Oh, thank you.
I was going to dive in with my knife if I had to.
I mean, or just like
I was waiting for you to
face
just pick
plant
it up
right in
like
there.
a big
I
Sicilian square
wasn't
pizza.
concerned for 1 minute, but thank you. For the
Oh,
fork.
wow. Okay. It's going to be great.
That's so good.
Can't wait. So a Top Chef dessert.
Okay. Can you describe the flavor of mascarpone? Because it's a cheese, but it has that just like amazing milky sweet flavor, but it's not sweet. There's no sugar, added sugar, right? So how does it get that sweetness?
I think, you know, you have that natural cream sweetness in there, and then you have that kind of lactic acid, almost that tang of like a yogurt. And I think that's what I love about it, is that natural sweetness, that tang goes so well with, you know, like that and the blueberries, I think play so nice together. And then you add the brown sugar and it really rounds it all out.
Nice. Well, this meal was really incredible. I mean, I don't even think I can describe it. I hope you guys were really cooking along at home, because it's so much better than you can even imagine. Thank you so much, Joe, for joining us here tonight.
Thank you so much for having
Great
me.
virtual event. What do you guys think? Was it a great virtual event, as virtual events go?
Well, and I will say that the fun isn't over yet, because we have one more virtual event to celebrate May, which happens to be American Cheese Month. When I say American cheese, I mean cheese is made right here in the US of A. And we're talking about American made cheeses. Wisconsin truly is the best. So Join us next week, next Wednesday night for the Great Wisconsin Cheese Giveaway. You can register now until Tuesday at noon for the Great Wisconsin Cheese Giveaway. We're actually giving away 180 prizes in honor of Wisconsin's 180th anniversary of cheesemaking.
And you know what? They're good prizes, like really good prizes.
Yeah, like I'm talking a whole wheel of world championship cheese.
I'm talking a whole cake of multiple wheels of cheese.
Can I sign up before I go? Or do I
I'm
just
talking
put
a
my name?
15-year cheddar that only comes out once a year. I mean, yes. So Joe's going to be in it. You guys can join us. Like I said, go to
Wait, I got one more. I'm talking curds for a year. Boom. Okay.
and there's more. And there's more. So if you want to join, you can just go to wisconsincheese.com/wonders of Wisconsin, click on the link to join and register, and then tune in live on Wednesday evening. We'll be doing a live broadcast on Facebook and YouTube. We're going to have some celebrity guests, I believe, as well. Maybe some other top chef contenders. Just a
Oh.
little sneak peek.
Some cheese loving guests too.
Yes. So
Cheese loving celebrities.
the fun doesn't end tonight, but this was truly an incredible experience. I can't wait to go home and recreate all of these recipes for my husband in honor of our anniversary. It's
Which
really
you
been-
missed.
which I missed, but it's okay. But this really has been great. Thank you so much, Joe.
No, thanks for having me. I always love having an excuse to celebrate cheese.
Thanks to Joe, thanks to Andrea, and thanks to all of you for joining us tonight because it was pretty incredible. So we hope to see you at the Great Wisconsin Cheese Giveaway. Good night, everybody.
Good night.